Okay, so welcome to the Convita Wellness from Home series. So this is a series where we are connecting ancient wisdoms from the past to timeless wellness for the modern era. Now, the quote that is inspiring the talk that I'm going to be doing today is, "A crust eaten in peace is better than a banquet partaken in anxiety." With these ancient quotes, I feel like we can take from them what we interpret them to be. So, especially at the moment with the times that we're going through, for me, what this signifies is the simplicities in life and the little small things that we're able to do, like eating a crust, is so much better than something that is fancy and chaotic, a banquet, but where we are anxious. I feel that a lot of us are learning that lesson at the moment and how to appreciate just those basics that maybe we took for granted before. And a lot of us are actually experiencing that in our relationships as well. So the chat that I want to do with you today is confronting change in the new normal, how to create a relationship new normal. I think this is a great time at the moment. Oh, by the way, for those of you that joined, I'm Dr. Nikki Goldstein, as I'm a sexologist and a relationship expert. Probably be good if I introduced who I was and why I'm doing this. But at the moment, my area of expertise has really been called upon as so many other experts because we are in unprecedented times, and it's actually very exciting for relationships and dating and what that means for us because we are getting a shake-up. Things have been flipped on their head. We're dealing with all sorts of obstacles that generations before us maybe never have, and we don't have the advice out there really to be guiding us. So this is why it's really important that now things are changing and will continue to change again, that we start to look at what is this new normal when it comes to relationships. Now, what I am going to ask is there's some questions coming in. I'll go through some points about creating a new normal for your relationship. If you've got a question that relates to the point that I'm on, maybe it's something that I've said, particularly that point in time, make sure that you put your question in there. If not though, please wait till the end and I'm happy to stay on here and answer any questions that you do have because I understand at the moment there are lots of questions coming in. Okay, so creating a new normal in your relationship. The first point that I want to talk about is looking at the logistics of your life that might need to change. We are seeing the rules and regulations around how we live our life continually change week by week, and we are having to adapt with that. If you haven't already, it's really important that you have these conversations with your partner. Maybe they need to be weekly, fortnightly, as we start to see variations in our lifestyle at the moment. Around the logistics of how we live our life, I find that the most stressful conversations can be the things like who's doing the cooking, who's doing the cleaning, who's doing what in the household, who's paying the bills, who's picking up the kids from school, all these little daily things where they can symbolize something a lot deeper. Instead of it being a conversation just about who's doing what in a household, it starts to become a conversation around, well, I do this for you, so why are you not doing this for me? It's that laughing conversation about taking the bins out. It's not about the bins. It's about consideration for each other and recognizing what someone else might be doing in a household and trying to help out as well. Now, as people, we are not mind readers. You might be, and hat off to you if you are, but it's really important that we have these conversations. What are your expectations at the moment with logistics? How are you going to run your household? What does family life look like? What kind of regulations are you going to be putting in place to both keep safe? Everyone has a different interpretation as to how they want to live their lives at the moment and the risks that they're willing to take. It's really important that as a couple, you're both on the same page and continue to be on the same page as we go through this new normal. The next point is expectations. This is one of those things that amazes me, that people get into long-term relationships and even marriages, and no one sits down and has this conversation around, well, what are your expectations? Then they get really surprised when one person is saying, well, I always thought it would be lit like this. The other person kind of looks at them like, well, you've never told that to me. We see it so often with relationships, and it's a huge stress. You're both looking at the expectations that you have, but you're not communicating them with each other. especially at the moment whilst things are changing. There might be economic stress, there might be various pressures and anxieties on you as an individual and on your relationship. It's really important to not only discuss the logistics and how you're going to run a household, how you're going to set up your relationship, what things might need to be changed, but the expectations of what you have from each other. If you're somebody who is particularly sensitive and at the moment you're feeling really overwhelmed with what's going on, your expectation might be that you need a little bit more from your partner at the moment. You need them to be your voice of reason, your rock. You might normally be somebody who kind of has it all together and powers on through your day, but at the moment you just feel like you're cracking. Instead of just expecting somebody to pick up the pieces, which I know might sound really, normal, that, oh, well, if you're cracking, then your partner should be picking up the pieces, but maybe your expectations are a little bit more at the moment and you need them to really step in and help you. Now, we don't have perfect relationships. If anybody does, feel free to tell me. But sometimes you need to put up your hand and say to someone, this is what I need from you right now, and this is what I expect as my partner. Also, ask the other person in return, what do they expect of you right now? Do they have expectations that have changed in this new normal that you need to be communicating about? And just like logistics, continue to have these conversations over and over again. It amazes me the amount of time people ask me questions before they have attempted to have these conversations with their partners first. Look at all the things that are going on, have these conversations around the way the world is changing, how that's impacting your relationship, how that's impacting your daily life, before you start looking at outside sources to resolve all the conflict or the issues that might be going on within your relationship. So the next thing is being aware that your needs might have shifted. This is another huge thing that we don't talk to our partners enough about. What do you need at the moment? You might not need your partner to come rescuing in on a white horse and save the day. You might need space. And if you need space, then you need to explain why that is. All of this that is going on at the moment, and we are consuming so much information and we are restructuring our lives, can feel very overwhelming, and everybody has a different way to deal with that. You might not have been someone before that needed space, but you do need space now. You need to also check in with yourself. When it comes to looking at a new normal in a relationship, it starts with the individual. Ask yourself, what do you need? Are you okay? Instead of always looking at what someone else is doing or how it impacts you. And if you're a nurturer, and I'm a nurturer, so raise my hand with this, often it's a matter of looking around to see if everyone else is okay. Looking around to see what everyone else needs. Is everyone else okay? What can I do to help somebody? But often, if you are that type of personality, there's not enough room or there's not enough space that's been given in your head to stop and sit back and say, am I okay? What do I need? How is this affecting me? What do I need to speak up for? It's so important because you can't ask somebody what you need unless you're connected and tapped into that. So make sure that you take time to, meditation is really good for a lot of people, but I just think try and have some space for yourself upstairs. It might be listening to some music, it might be having an a long hot shower or a bath, or even going for a walk and just talking to yourself and just asking yourself those questions. Am I okay right now? What do I need? Have my needs changed? Change is the huge word at the moment. Everything has changed. So it's okay for things to change in your relationship too. It's just a matter of communicating about that and being able to have these conversations with your partner. There may be different needs that have come up at the moment where you need to have that conversation and explain it to them. I always think the biggest thing when you're discussing any type of change or anything that you want in a relationship is that you ask the question, why? Why is it that things have changed for you? Why is it that you need this? When you're able to ask that question why, you can explain something a lot better because hopefully you understand it a lot better. Now, it's not to say that we always need an explanation when we need something or want something or we have needs from our partner, but if we want them to really tap into how we're feeling and where we're coming from, I do believe it's important. If someone's saying, I just need more affection at the moment, someone else might say, oh, they're a bit needy. But if you're saying to your partner, I really need a little bit more affection at the moment because I feel like this uncertainty that's going on in the world is really affecting me and it makes me feel unsafe. And when I get affection from you, it actually makes me feel more safe. Home and your relationship might be the one place in the world right now that does feel safe. So if you're able to communicate those needs and those needs that have changed in that manner, instead of just saying what it is that you need, then maybe you might see more from your partner in return as well. Now, whilst you're asking yourself, am I okay and what my needs are, make sure that you check in with your partner as well about what their needs are. Depending on what type of personality there are, many people close down and they shut down and they're not communicating. And when they're in a time of crisis, they think they can just deal with it themselves. This might be the person that you're in a relationship with. Make sure you take the time to stop and say to them, I just want to check in with you and ask, are you okay at the moment? Is there anything that you need from me? Is there anything I can do to help you? Have things changed for you? Now, my next point is find ways to have me time and life away from each other. A lot of people feel that in a relationship, you have to be together all the time. You need to have the same hobbies, the same interests, doing everything as a couple. I don't necessarily believe in that. I think it's great to have things in common and to have things that you can do together, but I think it's really healthy to have your own space in your own life and things away from each other. One of the things when it comes to needs and expectations is if you focus solely on getting those from one person, sometimes it can be overwhelming for that person but disappointing for you. Sometimes you need to get things for yourself and also too from others in your life and in your inner circle. So don't be scared to have me time, but at the moment with this new normal, you might need to be a little bit more creative as to how you find that. It can also be really exciting to be able to have a life of your own and be able to talk about it with your partner. Instead of having conversations over dinner like, oh, so I saw this on the news today and oh, how was work and oh, how are you feeling? Sometimes it's nice to say, you know what, I had a wine chat on Zoom with this friend of mine and oh my God, you would not believe what they were getting up to, and share stories, share things that add value to a conversation. Now, one of the more warnings though with me time is that your partner may feel rejected when you ask for me time or you say, I just need the TV for 1 hour on my own. And they're saying, well, I want to watch Netflix with you too. And you say, I just want to have a good glass of wine and sit in front of the TV and just have my own space. Now, for a lot of people, they perceive that as, oh my God, I'm being rejected. So make sure that you explain to that person why it is and reassure them that they're not being rejected. This isn't about them. This is about something that you need. Even hearing that for some people might be a bit of a trigger. So make sure you continually reassure them. It's okay, this is not rejecting you, and encourage them to have me time as well. Why not say to them, is there something that you want to do on your own that you would want it some space, or do you want somewhere in our home that you want me to kind of go away from? Do you want me to go for a walk so you can just have the TV and just have the apartment to yourself? It's really important and healthy to have this time, especially at the moment, to recharge and also relax and not feeling like you have to be talking to someone, dealing with somebody. There's these memes that keep going around about partners chewing and how annoying that is. Sometimes that can happen in a relationship when you're stuck at home with someone for a long period of time, and you might just want to break and just be able to be on your own. Great, was just about to ask you how you ask for me time. Flossy Floss, let me know if that has answered any of your questions. I'm somebody that would probably be very triggered if my partner said, hey, I need me time. Even though I'm the relationship expert, I have to step back and go, this isn't about you, this is about them. So just make sure that also too, if you're the person like me that can be a bit sensitive to this, just make sure you understand what it is, and it's not rejection, it's just something that they need. Also, it's good to keep in mind that after that me time, the person that you're in a relationship with who's asked for the me time can often be recharged and more energetic and even more loving because they've had that moment to just have a break and go, oh, I can breathe, I can binge watch wherever I want to binge watch, I can have my shower, I can read my book, I can, have pizza and a wine maybe in a room on their own, and they end up being a better person to be in a relationship with after that me time. So it's always a good thing, but just check in that if you feel like it's rejection, maybe it's happening too often, you've got every right to actually flag that with your partner and say, I just need to let you know that sometimes when you ask for me time, it makes me feel rejected. Maybe that's a way to be able to say to them, can we ask for me time in a nicer way? Sometimes people's approaches can be a bit too abrupt, and that may be what you need. Saying to them, just maybe reframe the way that you're asking for me time, because I feel like what you're saying is it's get away from you time. Okay, so my next point is don't plan for the future, think in the now. I'm someone that's always struggled with mindfulness and meditation. I have tried over and over again, and I have one of those brains that just keeps going. And I found in the times that I have been able to be still and in the now, it is so powerful. I know it sounds really crazy, but years ago I went sailing for the first time, and it was a ladies' race and I had to skipper, and I've never been a sailor before in my life, and I'm having to look at all these little things flying and lining things up. And it was a moment where my mind was just focusing on a little flag flying in the sky. There was nothing else. I was concentrating, but I was looking at a flag. And I realized when I finished that race that I actually felt calm because my mind had stopped. My mind had stood still. At the moment, the one thing that we are being taught, if your partner is a workaholic. Okay, I'll jump into that question after I finish that point. Hopefully it doesn't go too far up the screen. But with this idea of being in the now, if you can find those ways to quiet your mind and just focus on the present. Now, when you start to think about the future under the current climate, it can actually cause a lot of anxiety for a lot of people. We don't know when we're going to be able to travel again. We don't know when we're going to be able to plan a holiday. I'm sure many other people have had to cancel all sorts of things this year, and it's just blow after blow after blow, because it might be time with your partner, time with your family, all these exciting things that you were looking forward to that we just don't know even when we're going to be able to book them again. So it's forcing us to live in the now. All we have is every day. We continually say these sayings like, life is so short. You don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow. Today is all we have. And I think we're actually really starting to see that. And it can sound morbid in a way, but the idea with this is to push us into the now. Enjoy all those little things in your relationship that maybe you overlooked. It might be something so simple as sitting down and having a glass of wine with each other. For me and my partner, we're doing long distance at the moment, which is something very new for us. I've had to come to my parents' place to take care of them, also get out of Sydney, and I find that every phone call is a blessing. Every moment that we're able just to talk to each other and FaceTime, whereas before it would have been something that we took for granted. And I can be somebody that gets caught up in, let's plan for the future and what are we doing on this weekend, and let's invite these people over and maybe we should go away for a weekend. And all we can do right now is live in the now, and I think it is so powerful. And this is the biggest thing with our new normal, is that hopefully a lot of other people are seeing the silver lining of that and being able to appreciate all those small little things. So whilst planning for a future can be an exciting thing, and it's great to look at travel and make social plans and all those kind of things, I would encourage you to stay more in the now. Live each day, but appreciate all the little things happening each day, because once we start to look for the future at the moment, that anxiety might pop up, because no one has a crystal ball and no one can tell us how our new normal outside of our relationship is really going to look like in the next few months. So I would definitely be very cautious if you are making plans. You can dream together. You might be able to say, hey honey, when this is all over, let's go on a lovely weekend away. Let's go glamping. Let's go visit family in another state. You can dream, but don't get too caught up with planning, because that anxiety might have a flow-on effect into other areas in your life. Okay, address conflict quickly. Conflict should be addressed quickly, really, no matter what the time is and what the lifestyle is going on. But at the moment, I think it's more important to be addressing this, even more so in a speedy manner. The reason being is that we don't have the outlets that we used to have when there was maybe high conflict as a coping mechanism. So Maybe you were the type of person that when things got really heated, you just took a break and went for a walk, or you went down, well, that you can still do, but you went and had a drink with friends, or you went and saw someone else, or you went to the gym and you exercised and you jumped on a treadmill and you ran it out as you pondered over the argument that was happening at home. A lot of those vices we don't have at the moment. Even when it comes to therapy and things like that, I think people are so scared to go out. There is a lot of services online, but there's so many other stresses that are impacting who we are at the moment. The difficult part is pulling away where there might be economic stress, fear of uncertainty, stress of how the household has changed, and actually then focus on what the relationship issue is standing alone. So this is why I think it's really important to address that conflict as quickly as you can. So some of the ways to do that is, first of all, stop, take a step back and breathe. I'm a firecracker. You might be a firecracker as well. And when you are a heated, passionate person, you sometimes want to jump straight in. You want to say what's on your mind. You want to yell what's frustrating you. But sometimes that thing that you're getting frustrated with, that thing that you want to yell about, is actually something within yourself. Maybe it's not a relationship issue. Maybe it's a trigger because something happened that day. Your partner happens to be the one person that just says that last thing, and boom, it's like fireworks. Take a few moments just to step back and have a look at what it is that you're frustrated about, what it is that you're angry about. Also, to calming yourself down. When you have these heated discussions that have a lot of heat, the other person might shut down as a consequence, because how does it feel when someone comes in your face and says, "Oh my God, why can't you?" What do? You shut down. No one likes to be yelled at. No one likes to have confrontation. So when we're faced with that, for a lot of people, we either confront back or we shut down, and nothing gets solved in that way. So it's really important to take a step back, take a breath, have a quick look at what it is that you're frustrated with, and then talk. Now, also to put yourself in the other person's shoes. That insight can be really helpful when there is a time of conflict. You might need to, within that moment, when you worked out what it is that you're frustrated about or you're upset about, just look at it from their position. Have a think. How are they going to see this? How might they be feeling at the moment? That insight can really help you with my next point, which is compromise. Compromise, compromise, compromise. It is the biggest thing that you can do in a relationship. This is not about you getting your way, me getting my way, and taking turns at that. That is trying to find resolutions when this conflict does occur, that you can both have your needs met. See, there's that word needs again. So if you've spoken about your needs in a relationship, then maybe you're more aware of where your partner's needs are. So when you come to finding a compromise, you can gain that insight ahead of time. See? So with these, it's really important to find the compromise really quickly, because if you do tend to have conflict that goes on and on and on, at the moment, I really feel like things can be exacerbated. A lot of people have been asking the question, well, since we're at home together, we've got more time, is this the right time to be working on all of our relationship issues we've had in the past? No, there are some people that might disagree with me on that, but I feel like this time at the moment is full of emotions that some people are not even aware of. Some people are holding those inside. There's all this anxiety and uncertainty that is going on, as well as being a little bit more relaxed and having a little bit more time. There's still those things in the back of our mind. So I don't think it's the ideal time to really be nutting down all the stuff from the past. I think that at the moment, what this is about is survival together, looking at your daily routines, not planning for that future or going into the past, and being present with each other. Once life changes and we get back to more normals, then maybe address some of the things that have happened that you really want to talk about. So my next point is practice gratitude and appreciation for each other, for the smaller things in your life. One of the little exercises that I used to do, and I probably should be doing again, is every morning me and my partner used to say what we appreciated about the other person. It was like 3 things. It was always a quick kiss at the door before he was going to work, and we'd say 3 things that we appreciate. And at first I thought it was a bit naff, it was a little technique that I picked up from a course that I did. And then I realized really quickly how effective it was. It just put us both in this happier mood, but it also reminded us of the positives of each other. And it can be something really small and really goofy, and maybe it's an inside joke between the two of you, but it's kind of a really nice way to say goodbye in the morning. But then at nighttime, we would both talk about what we were grateful for that happened that day. That didn't necessarily have to be something to do with each other. It could just be something that we were grateful for. Again, it's that way of just stopping and appreciating and being present. And those little things that you can do can really shift your mood. Now, if you're able to shift your mood when there might be certain stresses and anxieties that are playing havoc, it can have wonders on how you communicate as a relationship. So you can borrow my little idea of the 3 appreciations and the gratitude at nighttime, or you can have a play with that. But try find a little structure, even if it's a little journal that you write down and sometimes read back over of the things that you were appreciative of that day or the things that you were grateful for. However you want to practice that, will we get these tips summarized after your session? For Flossy Floss, this video will be shared on the Convita page, and I can share this as well through my socials. So there will be an opportunity to go back and have a look at it. But I can type something up if you guys want these notes. So just comment if you do, put the like thing. If you want me to type some notes up, I can probably put this in a blog post. So if you guys want this, please let me know. Okay, so on from our gratitude and appreciation. My last point is find smaller and simpler ways to connect with each other and enjoy your relationship. Like I was saying before about enjoying FaceTime calls with my partner when I used to take them for granted, it's really important to just have a look at those simpler things in your relationship and things that you can do that don't involve grand gestures and nights out and presents. What I find really interesting at the moment is Instagram has changed. We used to see that false projection of, look at what my partner was doing for me. We don't see so much of that anymore. So it's really made me have a look at this idea of relationship goals, because it used to always be the hashtag, with the fancy gifts, or it was Valentine's Day, and it was like, oh, relationship goals. If you can be with your partner and enjoy your partner without gifts, without grand gestures, nights out, these crazy holidays that look beautiful on Instagram, and just be with each other on the couch drinking a glass of wine and watching your favorite movie, then that should be the new relationship goal. You need to be able to enjoy all these little things. Find little ways to celebrate your relationship. One of the things I've been suggesting to a lot of people, we are seeing various things lifted, so you can have people over now, but if you're not comfortable, you could jump on Zoom and have a double date. Do you have that couple that you just have so much fun with and they're really hilarious? Jump on a Zoom call with them, get your favorite meal, have people over for dinner to stay at a distance from them. Have an old-fashioned barbecue if you've got the space to be able to do that. There's little things that I think we take for granted now because we have become the society that is bigger and better and grander, and everything has to look a certain way. When it comes to our relationships, just find those simple things to celebrate and to enjoy each other. I know when I get back to Sydney very soon, all I'm looking forward to is actually cooking with my partner in the kitchen and going on walks. And I said this the other night. He said, oh, things are going to be different when you come home. We're not really going to be able to go out much. Not that we did, we were big party people anyway, but I'm just really enjoying the idea of cooking a meal together. That was something I completely took for granted, as a lot of people probably did. Cooking was a chore and I was like, what am I going to cook tonight? Now I've been cutting recipes out of magazines and looking through my mother's cookbooks, and we've both said, it'd be so nice to be in the kitchen together and just sit down and have a meal. Find those more simpler ways that you can experience your relationship but also celebrate it. So that is all my points on how to create the new normal. Now I want to throw it out for any questions. There was a question about a workaholic partner. If you want to jump in and ask that one again, I think it was something around how to ask your workaholic partner to do more things with you, I think. So I'll go with that. What's really good with workaholic partners is it's healthy for them to take a break. So when you're asking them to be doing things with you, sometimes you need to keep in mind that the idea of doing things with you is taking them away from all the things that they have to do that are really important. And maybe they have a lot of responsibility in their job as well. So try and incorporate the healthy break into the things that you want them to do with you. So if you're saying to them, hey, can we, once we can get out and do these kind of things, let's go shopping, or let's go to a movie, or let's have a night out, which might not be exactly how they want to take a break. And you need to respect that we all have different needs in these situations. Maybe look at some things that they could have that healthy break. So it just might be the walk in the park, or doing something, some kind of exercise together. If you're into yoga, doing a yoga class or doing some form of a class together that for them is a break from their hectic work schedule, but they don't feel like it's a waste of time. I tend to sometimes be a workaholic, and the difficult thing is with time, because we're so short on it, sometimes we feel like when we do something that is not being productive, it's a waste of time. So it can be really good when you're looking for something to do together in a relationship that it feels like it's a benefit for some reason. Is it a benefit to your health? Is it a skill that you're learning together? It might not ideally be like the activity that you had in mind, but it could be a good compromise to somebody who is caught up in their work, has a lot of responsibility, but also needs to take care of themselves and slow down, and can do that together in a relationship. So does anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, we might wrap up there. So make sure for more of these at-home wellness sessions that you head over to, we're on the Convita wellness page. So make sure you follow this Instagram account. There'll be lots of posts as to some of the upcoming sessions, and I will be doing another session very soon. So make sure you look out for the times of that. And I hope everybody is well, and sending lots of well wishes, and hopefully you enjoy finding your new normal in your relationship. Bye.